everyone. Welcome to the last day of the Co-Creating Change Festival. We've made it through the week and I'm really excited about the sessions today. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Creativity Works. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. Hello, my name's Philippa Forsey and I'm joined today by Greg Atkin from Writing Space, which is a peer-led group based in Bath. And I'm also joined by Adrian Wyatt, who runs a peer-led group called Keynsham Snap Stroll, and that's based in Keynsham. And our talk today is going to tell you more about Creativity Works and also about our peer-led co-created activities and events that we run across Bath and North East Somerset and further afield. And we're very open to questions and feedback. And we would very much like you to include your questions in the Q&A box to the side or in the chat. We propose that what we'll do is talk through our presentations, and then at the end we'll invite you to share with us and even come up onto the stage if you'd like to. So we're really looking forward to spending this time with you this morning and telling you a little bit more about what we do. So with no further ado, I shall begin telling you a little bit about Creativity Works for those of you that don't know anything about us. So Greg is going to be the tech operator this morning for me and share our slides. Where I'm based in Radstock, just outside Bath and North East Somerset, is a rural area. And although we do get the internet, there are times when the internet is a little bit slow. So yeah, we depend upon it, but it's sometimes a bit slow. So for this Air Meet conference, Greg is in a more central position in Bath. So if you could share that, share the slides, Greg, that would be great. Great, lovely, thank you. So here we are, Creativity Works, and we are a charity. We've been running for 40 years. This year, we celebrate our 40th anniversary, and we are based in, as I said, our organisation is based in the rural parts of Bath and North East Somerset, but we do work across the whole of the area and we do work further afield. We work with a community asset-based approach, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that, but just a few more details about how we operate, how we are in existence. And we're really very proud and grateful for our funding through the Arts Council. We're a national portfolio organisation, and that enables us to do two main functions, which is to support artists in their support, training and networking. And we've really been able to reach many, many more people over the last year and a half, ironically, through the pandemic, where we've taken all our services on the Co-Create programme online, and people have been able to reach us both online and face-to-face. So yeah, that's been great for us. And then the other side of our work is the delivery, the actual face-to-face work with communities and working with people where they live. And that the main part of our funding for this activity comes through Virgin Care. We're a provider for them, which means that we work with organisations across Bath and North East Somerset who operate in the health and social care arena. And we're linked into mental health pathways, as well as to other more specific pathways. And I'm going to speak a little bit more about the creative wellbeing activities in a minute. And then I also want to explain our approach further, which is the creative peer-led approach, whereby we work with people, we co-create with people to run their own projects. So, Greg, would you mind going back to the second slide a second? Lovely, thanks so much. So our approach is to work with people who are either find us and enroll with us themselves, we call that self-referral, or people might be referred in to work with us through a range of different ways, through different charities or through social prescribers, village agents or mental health charities. We work hard on our marketing so that we can encourage people from all backgrounds to join us in what we hope is an inclusive approach of working with the arts. And I'm going to say a little bit more about the arts shortly, but what the main thing is that we work in a number of creative ways. And so, yeah, multi-art forms with a lot of different artists. Our approach offers a preventative support. So we're really aiming to work with people who may be socially isolated or experiencing challenges with their well-being and mental health. And we're trying to also provide a transition from using mental health services into support in the community. So some of the partners we work with, for example, Avon and Wiltshire Mental Health Partnership Trust, will refer people into our projects as a bridge in a way to help people get involved in something that's participatory and social and leads on to further activities in the community. And through this approach, we enable people to become connected with others, and with that, to become linked into other activity that's going on. So we would say this type of intervention is timely. It can help people at a point of feeling maybe going through difficult circumstances to realise that they're not alone and that they are linked to other people going through similar challenges, but find that they have common links beyond their unwellness. And those positive strengths, positive links that they make go on to form very strong, empowered networks. So next slide. So I explained before, sorry, next slides, Greg. So I explained before, we work with an asset-based community development, which is working with the skills that people bring into the groups, their skills, their strengths and their abilities. We work also with socially engaged artists who are particularly good at identifying the strengths within the group. So although initially some projects, some sessions may be facilitated by an artist, by an end of that engagement period, we would very much hope that the ideas are coming from the group members, so that the group members can take their ideas and their experience forward. And in this approach, we found over many years that people often want to, at the end of a project, carry on with their own projects, their own work. And so Creativity Works will support them to apply for their own fundraising, to hire a venue, maybe to even find an artist, and also to support people with voluntary roles within the groups. So within those groups, the peer-led groups, then, people can continue meeting each other, and some groups go on to meet for years. And Greg and Adrian will be talking a little bit more about those approaches shortly. But what we know is that this approach helps not only increase social connections and involvement in much wider community events, but it also goes on to support people's health and well-being in a very meaningful way, so that then with that increase in well-being, people in the groups go on to create their own activities and projects. And they might be exhibitions, anthology readings, or being part of wider community events in the community. Next slide. So just to give you a little bit of an example of some of the projects, we have a project here in Bath and North East Somerset called Fresh Art, and this project supports people from secondary health, mental health care, to come and take part in activities that we run in partnership with the museum services in Bath. And that's an incredible richness that brings to this work, because the museums have access to large records and collections of really interesting objects and stories. And through that connection, people go on to feel connected to a wider sphere of engagement. We also have another project called My Time, My Space, and this is part of the perinatal support pathway, now linked into the region-wide perinatal support pathway. And this project enables young mums or older mums, in fact, all ages, to have a little bit of time and space for themselves with a professional children's group. And the sessions are supported by health visitors and children's centre workers who support the mental health and well-being of the mothers. And the leading artist supports the creativity and the social engagement. And those groups go on to meet for years and years after the initial meeting in this project. The initial projects run for about 12 weeks, and then those groups go on to stay connected for many years afterwards. And then we also have wellbeing peer-led projects like Writing Space and Get Creative and Keynsham Snap and Stroll. And each of these groups meets with their own sense of direction and aims, and encourage input from all the members within the groups. So members come up with themes, ideas for what they want to learn about or how they want to run. They take it in turns to facilitate sessions, and they offer opportunities for people, however vulnerable they might be feeling, to come along and just be, have a space and be in a supportive group. And they're very powerful, and Adrian and Greg will explain a little bit more about those shortly. And the other thing is our social prescribing aspect of our work, which is where we create new projects for people to get involved with, such as, for example, journaling for wellbeing or sewing and story cloths. There are a wide number of projects that happen within this sphere, and we respond to what we hear back from the mental health teams and the village agents and the social prescribers to what that programme might look like, or people that ring us up and say, you know, they're looking for a certain type of project. So we try to respond to need, and the projects happen, as I said before, across the area. So we work out of village halls and church halls and all sorts of different places. We go to where the work is needed. People don't have to come to us. So the other thing is that we also deliver online. So we've been able to reach far more people in the last couple of years, which has been a big learning curve for us, but very good. So next slide. So just to say a little bit more about that, the projects, some of the projects, they post art packs out. Some of the projects meet people online in their homes. But we've also been able to start new initiatives with people, for example, with Age UK. We were able to collaborate with a number of partner organisations and send out wellbeing packs over the last year and a half to older people and people who are isolated, for those people that don't have access to the internet. And we found this approach to be really supportive, not only for ourselves as organisations, but also for a wide number of volunteers. I think there were 70 plus volunteers involved in this project who delivered the wellbeing packs by hand to people's doors, knocking on the doors, asking how people were doing, and creating a connection. And it's this kind of work that we feel really is at the heart of our community asset-based approach, where we can meet people where they are and support them at a time of need. We've also gone on to write creative newsletters and videos, and a number of our groups use WhatsApp and Facebook groups. And this is fantastic because it enables people to link creatively with their themes and ideas, but also just to be a supportive community. And then the other way that we link, and we're doing that a little bit more now that we've opened up out of lockdown, is we have events and exhibitions, and we come together to celebrate achievements. And it's really heartwarming when we do this to see all the people come together, which is something that we're very much enjoying at the moment in a very big way. So yeah, from all of these opportunities, they lead on to other opportunities in the community and further afield. Next slide. So the outcomes that we know from this approach of working alongside health and social care services in the community is that people tell us that they feel increased confidence and self-esteem, and that they benefit from being involved in social activity where they're not judged in any way linked to their health, but they are connected because of their interests, and their connections become part of a wider supportive community and we find culturally and creatively this supports people grow and develop and continue to learn. People develop wider aspirations and motivation, and very often this work leads on to people becoming volunteers or going back to work or even starting their own groups. So we know that through having alternatives like this that enable people to have healthy lifestyle choices, not only are they supporting themselves, but they're being given a space where they can reflect on their own skills and their own strengths, their own abilities. And this all leads to improved resilience, the ability to cope and the ability to manage well, and equally at the same time enhances their creativity and their imagination. So we found this model to be very helpful, and we received this feedback from other teams around our area. Next slide. The development of new skills is such a key factor, and many of you will know about the 5 ways to well-being, which is an aspect of, you would say, that we promote. It's about enabling people to recognize the skills and attributes that make them feel well and make them enable them to connect with other people. And this brings about a sense of achievement on a daily basis. And the creative peer support groups are very much a strong model with this. It's enabling people to feel connected through activities that make them feel good, that make them buzz, that make them be able to express themselves in new ways. And if people want to go on to co-facilitate and volunteer with us, this is something that Creativity Works feels passionately about. We know that through learning new skills and working together and learning from each other, that we can all grow alongside each other. And this is the heart of our co-create, heart of our work in Creativity Works. Next slide. A little bit about our evaluation. We measure our outcomes mainly through qualitative methods, but we do also use quantitative methods such as the Warwick-Edinburgh scale, which it has its place, but we also find that conversations and talking to each other is one of the biggest routes where people are able to tell their stories and tell us about what they want or what they want to change or how they want to progress. So improvements in people's well-being and health leads on to development and progression, leads on to further community engagement, and in so doing increases people's quality of life and contentment with how they feel about what they're doing and how they are linked into their own future development. And we know that this reduces the need for care and support at a higher level in the community. We know that this early intervention really helps people in their own support their own well-being and mental health. Next slide. I just wanted to mention a little bit about the partnerships. We work in partnership with a wide range of people in both health and social care and the voluntary sector. But to name a few, there's Avon and Wiltshire Mental Health Partnership Trust, secondary care services. We also work with Virgin Care, who are the prime provider of social care services in our area. Bath College are a very key partner, and working alongside us will enable further training and development for people beyond the projects with us. And Bath Mind provide very timely mental health support at times when it's most needed. And then Bath Museums bring about, as I've said before, access to incredible collections that really can enrich some of the projects and also make available free access to some of the museums, which again is a huge boon to the people that we work with. And then obviously the peer support groups, members and volunteers continue to inspire us daily with the work that they do. And then just to name a few more, the Bath Artist Studios are local artist studios who we link with for access to their venue, but also for working with their inspiring artists. And the Bath festivals enable us to link into wider festivals that bring about link into regional and national events further afield. So yeah, there are a few more written down here, but each partnership brings its strength. I'll just point out EcoWild. We're doing far more work outdoors in the last few years, and people like EcoWild bring about an incredible strength in their knowledge of working in nature to really nurture our hearts and minds. So we're incredibly grateful to them. And St Mungo's have been an incredible charity to work with, who bring about training and support for us as a staff team, but also for our volunteers. We couldn't do it without you all. So yeah, we're very grateful. So next slide. So just ending here, this is a piece of artwork created 3 years ago on the Fresh Art Project. And it's 3 tapestries, or not really tapestries, I should say fabric collages that were created on that project, group project, that were displayed initially in the community, and now they've been donated back to the clinical environment. I didn't say, but some of our projects donate their work back to clinical environments to inspire the people that work so hard in those environments. So next slide. So this brings me to the end of my talk, and if you would like to get in contact with us at Creativity Works, please do. We're always open to new conversations and working in new ways. And that's the end from me. And I would like to hand over now to Adrian Wyatt. So Adrian has been running the Keynsham Snap Stroll group for at least 3 years now in a voluntary capacity. And he's going to talk to you about that group and how it works. So thank you very much. I'm going to come off screen now so that we can have better internet connection.
Hi all. So I'm actually in the same offices as Philippa, but in a room next door. So we're just hoping that the connection works just as well for me as it is for Philippa. I was once asked a question, and it was a simple question. Go to people that know you best and ask them to describe to you in writing your strengths and something about yourself. That's quite a difficult thing to do, to ask people to do that, because you never know what they're actually going to say. But the replies that came back, nearly all came back with the same answers. And the answers went something like this. Someone who is very confident, an outgoing personality, and is great under pressure. I was asked to do that actually by my counsellor, my therapist, who had said to me, in all her years as a therapist, she had never come across somebody with or lacking in so much self-worth and lacking in so much self-value and confidence. So how come the big difference? Well, for me, it actually is quite easy. It's because I am absolutely fantastic at putting on a face. I can put on a false face to the world. For years, I was able to cover up for me, and even better, I was good at covering up to other people. Those issues of self-doubt, those issues of self-worth that literally have become who I was and part of my life. Later, I was diagnosed with something called complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And at that point, something started to make a little bit of sense to me. But it was still something that I was actually very good at keeping to myself. It was round about then, about 2.5 years ago, I attended a co-create course that was partly run by Creativity Works and also with Bath Mind, simply introducing people to some of the issues of mental health. And it was for me literally, and you'll know what I mean by a light bulb moment, when so much just becomes obvious that you'd never seen before. It was just something for me at that time when I realized that the only real thing that was getting me through the darkest of times, or as I described them later, going through dark tunnels, was my photography. it was a light bulb moment, because until that time, I had never seen this as being creative. After all, I'd spent the best part of my child and adult life being told that I didn't have a creative bone in my body. It was a changing moment for me. And a few courses later, not least one on creative journaling, that found me making life-changing decisions. And I quit my paid and secure job to embrace mindful photography, not just for me, but I wanted to pass it on to others through being self-employed in this field. You see, photography and its creativity literally, and I say this quite literally, has literally saved me. And I couldn't, in all good consciousness to myself, I couldn't just keep to me what had been the most healing experience and the most healing thing possible and not share it. So in the last 18 months, I've run courses. I've written an awful lot on social media and a website about my personal struggles. And I've been quite open about those, which has been a big thing for me. I'm even part, believe it or not, of a future film being co-made with Bath Mind on the issues of mental health. But most importantly for me, I can share these experiences through one of the groups that Philippa has referred to, called Keynsham Snap Stroll. And let me just explain a little bit about that. It was a group that was developed through the lockdown period that we went through. Its principle at the time was really quite simple. People come together online. For us, it was in a Facebook group, to post images that had been taken either in their home or on their daily walk that we were allowed. And each person was given a theme every week. There was nothing too drastic. It was a color or lines or something, but people were given a theme every week. And we just simply posted those images. Initially, it was a group of about half a dozen of us, but the group grew and grew and grew. We're up to a group now of about 170. And we've actually had inquiries in from New York, from Nigeria, and from the Caribbean. Sadly, I've yet to work out a way in which I can go out and set the groups up for them. But when lockdown ended, the page that we had, this Facebook page, just kept going. And some of the people that we were meeting originally just online, we now come together to actually meet in person once a week in Keynsham, on the outskirts of Bristol. And we simply go for a stroll through the community and take a few pictures as we stroll along, using a theme that we come up with each week. But it's a theme very, very open to interpretation. Through it, confidence for the people who come, and certainly confidence for myself, has just grown exponentially. Although many of us began as total strangers, we're now almost like a family of a group of us together. And although many people who came were just absolute total beginners in photography, most people still only use a phone. We've been approached to create 2 exhibitions, which I'll refer to in a short while, which have taken place in the last couple of months. And we've run mindful photography walks up and down the high street. So let me share with you, if I can, just about 4 images and the reason for those images, remembering always that for the group, it's not about the photographs or the quality of the photographs. This is not about making us into the next David Bailey or alike. It's simply about some way of using creativity for our own well-being. Greg, can I ask you to show me the first shot on nature, please? Okay, that's the first shot. It's a simple shot of the sun coming through some trees. It was actually a photograph that was entered by the group into the town council's photography competition that's held every month. It was one of the images that won that month. However, more importantly, it just gives an idea of what we're talking about. We're walking in nature. And in an image like this, there's a whole multitude of themes that we could bring out of it. We can look at the seasons, growth, nature, shadows, as you can see, or lines as you look at the shadows on the floor itself. So it's one of the principles we have is we create a theme and open people's interpretation to what that theme might be. The next one, please, Greg. Good, bad, and ugly. Thank you. So the group were asked to participate in the town itself. Keynsham is an eco town where the ecology is a big issue for it. And there was an eco event for the weekend, and the group were asked to participate in that by putting on an exhibition of photographs. But the theme was completely and utterly open to us within the idea of eco. So the group came up with this idea of the good, the bad, and the ugly images, where the photographs and the viewer was asked to look at the photographs to interpret them in different ways. Now, this is one of the photographs we can see. You may just see it says 4 faces. That's what the 4 people, 4 members of the group around it. And it was one of the photographs in the exhibition. And it simply asks, so, is graffiti, is it bad? Is it ugly? Or is it actually good? Because some people, I love street art. It's actually a personal expression of art. It's a way, and of course, it's for art available free of charge to all. So the viewers were asked to look at these images, and there were various display boards, and each person was asked to move the image to the part of the display board that they felt that personally represented. Was it good? Is it bad? Is it ugly? It's a way of engaging the group with our community and getting the people to see what we were doing. Kindness Keynsham, next please, Greg. So the group were asked to put together an exhibition for a town event called Kindness Keynsham. Again, they're not professional photographs in any way, but we were asked to put this set of photographs together. And this is simply one of the photographs that was used as an interpretation of the theme of kindness. And it simply shows one interpretation, that kindness is not just something we do amongst humans. This is kindness to animals, but we also looked at kindness to the environment, kindness in sharing, and also we had photographs taken in lots of different ways. And the final one, please, Greg, for our mindful photography. And just see, if you're able to see, it says the words, is this the future? Historic England asked us to run an event on mindfully walking the high street that we were in. We don't always, for mindful photography, need lovely fields and flowers. This was a way of opening up our imaginations to mindful photography and getting us to reimagine and re-see afresh our urban communities. So we did a mindful photography walk in the town itself. Okay, Greg, finish the images. Thank you. So for me, what the group do, what we are together, it's about the benefits that we get from being as part of a group. And I just wanted to finish by saying something about these groups and the benefits of them and what we've seen. First of all, I would suggest that actually the first thing is that these small groups are small and they are simple. And because of which they are sustainable, they're easy to pass on, and they're easy to replicate in other places. Because of their simplicity, then could be adapted for inclusivity if we need to. So we were Snap and Stroll, but we recognize that some people were less mobile. So once a month now, we actually have Snap and Stay, which is where we photograph in one location. So people who are less able can join us. They can have a positive community impact because they are engaged with local events such as those that we've described. Social media actually becomes very positive because for the group, we have our own WhatsApp group and Facebook group. So social media becomes positive, not always a negative thing that it can be seen to be. And through it all, you get to develop your own practice, experience, confidence, working with different people, different demographics and alike. And for me, it's been about a walk of personal awareness, personal confidence, personal development, and the personal need and desire simply to share this with other people. And I thank you. Greg, over to you, I believe.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Well, it's always difficult to be a follow-up speaker to Adrian and Philippa. They always have such amazing things to say. So thank you very much for that. I will try and be as brief as possible, so you have the least amount of time to worry about dealing with me. So I'm going to talk very briefly about the projects that I do for Writing Space and how that helps with mental health and co-creation. So as Philippa has implied, there are various different creative aspects of the different arts that that Creativity Works funds. Adrian has photography. There is the Fresh Art Society, which does all kinds of painting. My Time, My Space. My speciality, as it were, is creative writing space, and that can often put people off at first because, first of all, writing seems to be a very solitary thing. It's very much your emotions, your thoughts, what you do. But at the same time, it is a wonderful way of helping you with your well-being. So how does creative writing help in a group? How do you co-create people writing together? Well, I thought actually the best way to do it is to get everyone else involved with it. So I'll give you a brief rundown. Obviously, everyone writes in different ways. They like different things. Some people, in the group, we have poets, we have prose writers. I like my sort of, fantasy novels. There are people who like, we have crime writers, we have, we have journalists, we have people who do memoir work. So how do you get everyone working together? Well, the idea is to give everyone the same theme. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little exercise together. So please bear with me. I'm sorry to ask you to do something this early in the morning. So what we do is we call word banking. And the idea is that we give everyone a single phrase, a single word, and you take a couple of minutes simply to write down as many words as you can that inspire you, that come to mind. So I'm going to start. So what I'm going to do is in the chat, I've posted a link to a Google document. Now, what I would like everyone to do is click the link, follow it through, and you'll notice underneath the second line, there's a blank space. If you can move your cursors there. And what we're going to do is we're going to take 1 minute, and I want you to write down in that Google document as many words that come to mind from the word fisherman. So you can start with fishing rod, flies, salmon. I'm just going to take 1 minute, write as many words as you can. You might overlap with other people. That's fine. Just start writing as many words as you possibly can. Let's go. Let's see what people are already getting going. Let's go. Let's go. Brilliant. Overall, salty beard, galoshes, waders, wellies, water, crabs, chips, water, boats, Cornwall, climate change, leave the fish, sea, danger, freedom, holidays, mum and dad, childhood, sweets, music, the film, bucket, hook, line, sinker, scales, yellow waterproof coats, whiting, RNLI, wellies, buckets, seashores, sea shanties, battered cods, waves, smell of salt on the air. Amazing. And stop typing right there. Okay. Amazing. Now, what I want you to do is scroll all the way down. We've got a new page now. And I want you to do exactly the same again. Scroll all the way down to the bottom of the document. Now, I want you to do it again, but this time start with the word Scotland. We've got space, festival, Nicola Sturgeon, Robert Burns, tartan, cold, holiday, mountain, locks, veils, heather, family, whiskey, haggis. Okay, and stop typing. Excellent. So what we've done now is, you know, we've got everyone's mind working. Everyone's now sort of on the ball, aren't you? So can anyone post in the chat? Does anyone know what the link between the two words are? The two words are? No idea. Salmon. Salmon's a good one. Scottish salmon is always popular. Outside, no. Well, it's actually because coming up, the 30th, this coming Tuesday, is St Andrew's Day, which of course is St Andrews, the patron saint of Scotland, and he was a fisherman. So now the next exercise kind of is always to sort of bring these two together. So what I'm going to do now you can do this on a chat program, you can do this on a piece of paper. I always think there's something wonderful about having, even though we've been doing a lot of Zoom sessions over the past year, we have been encouraging people to get a pen in their hand and a piece of paper so you make something physical, because that is something that is often missed these days in a very technological world. So even if it's the back of an envelope or a post-it note or something, what I'd like you to do is take 2 minutes, and I'd like you to write a sentence using one word from each of the 2 word banks we've made. So you can see all the words that we've got for fishermen, and we've got lots of words for Scotland. I'd like you to pick your favorite from each one and write a single sentence using one word from each. Okay, and I'll take a bit longer for that one. We'll do 3 minutes. So I just want you to write one sentence. It can be anything you like. Just feature one word from the list of Scotland and one word from the list of fishermen. And 3, 2, 1. And stop writing. Shake your hands out if you've been using, well, actually, yeah, if you've been using a pen or you've been typing, shake your hands out, get rid of that horrible RSI. Now, big question is, does anyone want to share what they've written? Adrian writes, Scotland and its isles where the cold waves crash against my unprepared and naked feet. Oh, lovely. See, that's the sort of thing. It doesn't have to be, everyone's got that beauty in them. So if anyone wants to raise their hands or make it, or post in the chat that you've got something you'd like to share, I'll give it about a minute. Oh, here we go. Nicola, the sea shanties echoed like mist over the mountaintops. That's beautiful. That's fantastic. See, I think this is the thing I think about creative writing. We have co-created that everyone has yellow waterproof, salty beard, a smell of salt and space gave him the freedom he loved. We're making characters here. We've spent 5 minutes working with each other, you know, co-creating, and we've come up with stories, we've come up with characters. Oliver O'Connor writes, chips with you by the sea, keeping watch for sky scavengers. We share a beer, warm from my bag. Oh, that's wonderful as well. That's amazing. See, there's creativity and there's beauty in everyone. And this is what Creativity Works tries to do with the groups like Writing Space and Snap and Stroll with Fresh Arts, that there is this beauty and this creativity in everyone. And it is through this that we can really begin to find, you know, peace and fulfillment and interaction with everyone. So while I admit I probably made you do a little bit too much work for a well, it's fairly miserable out the window for me, at least, Friday morning, thank you all so much. Even this brief glimpse into a few of your ways and the inventory and the creativity you came up with. I like to think that this physical, you know, this example shows a lot more of how we co-create change, how we help mental health, and how we help Wellbeing as part of Creativity Works. I'll hand you back over to Philippa at this point. Or to Sarah, if you'd like to wrap up.
Thanks, Greg. Oh, it's such a pleasure working, doing this presentation with you. Thank you, Sarah. I don't know if there are any questions at all to Greg or to Adrian or to myself this morning.
Shall I count down? Shall I be Carol Vorderman?
Yeah. Thank you.
I'd just like to say thanks so much for sharing your work, and Adrian, thanks so much for sharing your. Oh, questions come in. Claudia, how do you think that process of expansion can happen with such local initiatives to bring them to other places?
Just read that again. How do you think the process of expansion? Yeah, I mean, I think we believe that this approach, this model, could be shared more widely than the area where we're working. We've often found that projects are run on a project basis where they have a beginning and an end. And that's great. That's good, and that has a place for beginnings and ends. But I think the thing for us is the what next, and having inspired something new. What next? What do people want to do after an intervention? And I think because our approach at Creativity Works is based on a community development model, we believe that we can help people create the services that they want in their locality. So, you know, for example, you might be living in a village and you find there isn't very much there potentially happening, but actually with a little bit of searching beneath the surface, you realize that there are a whole range of skills, and that with a you know, perhaps a starting point, that could encourage groups of people to begin linking and meeting and carrying on. So I think the process of expansion can happen with, you know, possibly just a starting place to bring people together. That does require, in many cases, possibly funding for a venue, and possibly funding for a facilitator. But there is a move more and more now, and very much recognised by the Arts Council, to enable creativity in the arts to reach more people where they are in their localities, and for arts not to be seen as something that is very expensive or far away, but it's part of recognising everyone's culture where they are. So I would say that how can it happen? With a goodwill and an open heart linking. Greg, what do you think? Sorry, you say.
I was just going to say, I think this would have been a good time to mention how Creativity Works did expand, because, for example, we are a Baines, Bath and North East Somerset, what used to be called Avon, if you remember it, based charity. However, at the end of last year, we embarked on a project for North Somerset, the Mendip project, where we opened it up through the use of Zoom to neighbouring areas which hadn't had as good connection, and we had some members from North Somerset, from Wells, have started coming to the Baines sessions more regularly. So I think, as Claudia says, the local initiatives can spread, but they need to be the next locality over. It needs to be neighbours helping each other. But I think there is definitely an angle for that. It needs to be a sort of, that everyone is welcome, and that we can prove that we can help everyone about this. But I think that's something that probably should have been mentioned about in terms of Creativity Works expanding. That's all I've got to say.
I think I'd like to jump in and just say some of the other sessions this week have really complemented this. And so one of our live sessions on Wednesday was about how do we grow and replicate work and what are the conditions that we need to do that. And then Create Gloucestershire ran a session yesterday with the National Health, talking about how they have managed to set up co-created partnerships and working with the statutory organisation. So there's definitely been a theme running through the week about how do we grow and replicate this sort of work, and also who funds it. So for anyone who's interested, you can look at those sessions back. Unless there's any more questions, I'd like to end this session and just say I really enjoyed thinking about Scotland, where I'm going for 2 weeks in January, which I can't wait. So thank you so much. And thanks for everyone for joining, and do watch these sessions back, and have a lovely weekend. Thank you.